A beloved play school teacher locks her classroom doors, raises a handgun, and takes 16 young children hostage. Her demands escalate rapidly. She extorts 5 crore rupees from the authorities, and to prove she is serious, she broadcasts the sound of a gunshot, faking the live execution of a young boy named Akash. Then she issues her final condition. She refuses to speak with the police or local negotiators. She demands a face-to-face meeting with the Prime Minister of India. On the surface, her actions fit the exact definition of domestic terrorism, a heavily armed individual using violence and fear to coerce the highest office in the country. Yet the precision of her demands hints at a deeply buried, specific motive. At broadcast desks across the country, the media immediately frames the crisis. Within hours, talking heads diagnose her on live television, labeling her a crazy, unstable woman experiencing a psychotic break. Reporters dig into her medical history, broadcasting the discovery of her antidepressant prescriptions. They use her past trauma to discredit her intelligence, painting her as a hysterical victim rather than a rational actor executing a plan. By centering the conversation on her mental health, the narrative effectively silences her. Her actions are treated as symptoms of a personal breakdown, allowing the public to ignore the possibility that she might be reacting to a much larger external failure. Mumbai police officers stand in tactical gear, looking up at the school. Inspector Javed Khan, the department's top negotiator, leads the standoff to defuse the immediate threat. A buried connection links the negotiator and the hostage-taker. 15 years prior, Inspector Khan was assigned to Case 122, investigating Naina's own brutal sexual assault. The police department shelved her case to pursue higher-profile, career-advancing shootouts. They left her attackers free to walk the streets and blend back into normal society. Naina uses the leverage of 16 children to force the police into action. With a ticking clock, Inspector Khan's team scrambles to hunt down the exact men they ignored a decade and a half earlier. The hostage situation forces a violent, real-time audit of the police department's historical negligence. Outside the school gates, news networks package the unfolding tragedy as a primetime thriller, spinning the narrative live on air to maximize ratings and keep viewers glued to the screen. Naina executes a massive countermove. She dials into the live news broadcast, confronting the lead reporter on national television and halting the media's speculative spin. This flowchart tracks information during a crisis. Statements pass from government to police, get filtered by media, then reach the public. But by calling the broadcast directly, Naina creates a new line straight to the public, bypassing the entire bureaucratic filter. She leverages the media's desperate hunger for viewership to secure an unignorable platform for her cause. The pressure mounts until the Prime Minister of India shatters standard security protocols, arriving at the cordoned-off play school to negotiate with Naina face-to-face. As the Prime Minister sits across from her, the initial assumption of a financial motive disappears. The 5 crore rupees Naina extorted were never destined for a getaway. They were instantly routed to a list of rape rehabilitation NGOs. Then the horrifying reality of the crisis is laid bare. Her rapist, Charan Kumar, wasn't hiding out in the city. 3 weeks prior, he had successfully applied for a job at the play school and was currently inside the building as the children's new driver. Because the legal system failed to convict him 15 years ago, a violent predator was legally allowed to walk free, change his name, and comfortably re-enter the very space where Naina sought safety. The entire national emergency was a meticulously constructed trap. Naina manufactured a crisis simply to lock her abuser in a room with the highest political power in the land, forcing the government to look him in the eye. With the Prime Minister as a witness, the rapist's true identity is exposed, and he is dragged out to face immediate justice. Meanwhile, the police find all 16 children completely unharmed, playing safely in a locked room. Her objective complete, Naina lowers her weapon and peacefully surrenders to the authorities. She accepts the handcuffs, fully prepared to face the legal consequences of her vigilantism. The physical standoff ends, but the narrative scale shifts from a local crime scene in Kolaba to the halls of Parliament in New Delhi. Addressing the Dutherment, the Prime Minister acknowledges the fatal gaps in current legislation. she publicly admits that existing frameworks, like the POCSO Act, fail to adequately track and punish sexual offenders, leaving citizens defenseless. Nina's extreme actions are framed as a tragic symptom of a broken social contract. A citizen had to resort to terrorizing children just to compel the state to enforce its own laws. The mechanics of this fictional standoff mirror a harsh real-world reality. Victims of sexual violence are routinely met with institutional apathy, buried paperwork, and societal silence. The narrative pushes a specific legislative demand to the forefront. It argues for capital punishment for convicted rapists, aiming to establish a definitive, terrifying deterrent for predators who currently exploit a lenient system. As the truth filters out, the public's perception sharply pivots. The society that initially condemned a madwoman begins mobilizing in the streets, holding candlelight vigils in solidarity with the survivor, and echoing her demands for systemic change. True justice requires a legal system that listens to its vulnerable citizens and protects them from harm, long before they are forced to hold a nation hostage just to be heard.